So, I was just looking at the numbers coming out of Australia this morning, and honestly, the reception for Harry and Meghan's trip next month is, well, it's icy. Remember 2018? They were the golden couple, staying at Kirribilli House with the harbour views and the full taxpayer-funded security detail. It was a total fairy tale. Fast forward 7 years to 2026, and the vibe has completely flipped. There's this group called Beyond Australia that just launched a petition on change.org, and get this, over 32,000 people have already signed it. The title isn't even polite, it's basically just, not 1 cent of our tax money for this private visit. And you have to look at the timing. Australia is going through it right now. Mortgages are through the roof, grocery bills are insane, and people are stressed. So when the news broke that the Sussexes are coming for a private commercial visit, the public basically said, if you're coming here to make money, you pay for your own bodyguards. It's a huge shift from being royals on tour to being celebrities on a business trip. But before we dive into the real story, please hit that like button, subscribe. So, looking at the group behind this, Beyond Australia, they really aren't playing around. They've titled this petition on change.org with zero fluff, no taxpayer funding or official support for Harry and Meghan's private visit. It's blunt, it's direct, and honestly, the speed of it is what caught everyone off guard. Passing 32,000 signatures in such a short window isn't just a digital protest, it's a massive signal. You have to look at what's happening in the real world right now in 2026. Australians are dealing with these brutal interest rate hikes and mortgage stress that's hitting families hard. So, when an A-list couple plans a trip that looks, walks, and talks like a commercial venture, the public is drawing a very hard line in the sand. The message here is loud. The era of royal perks, where the public picks up the tab for travel and security just because of a title, is effectively over for the Sussexes in the Commonwealth. People are looking at their own grocery bills and then looking at this private visit, and they're saying, if you want the A-list lifestyle, you pay the A-list bill. It's a total clash between celebrity ambition and the reality of the economy, and the petition is just the tip of the iceberg. This is the part where the gloves really come off. Instead of trying to quiet the noise, a spokesperson for the Sussexes actually fired back, and they didn't hold anything back. They called the whole petition ridiculous and stupid, basically dismissing 32,000 angry people as a moot point, because the trip is being privately funded anyway. But then they took this really bizarre logic leap. They basically argued that since there are 26.5 million Australians and only 32,000 signed the petition, that means 99.9% of the country must be perfectly fine with picking up the tab. I mean, can you imagine? Using that kind of math to brush off a massive group of frustrated taxpayers is a bold move, even for them. It's that unfiltered, us against the world PR style we've seen before. But in 2026, when people are already feeling the pinch, it feels incredibly out of touch. The irony here is that the petition only gained this much steam because the Australian government was so vague about the security costs for weeks. By calling the public's concern ridiculous, the Sussex team might have just poured gasoline on a fire. Instead of looking like private citizens on a business trip, they're coming across like they expect everyone to just fall in line. It's a gamble that could make the atmosphere even more hostile by the time they actually land next month. To really understand why this feels so different, you have to look back at their last trip in 2018. It was their first year of marriage. They were at the absolute peak of their power, and they stayed at Kirribilli House, the Governor-General's official Sydney residence with those iconic harbour views. Back then, they were fully accredited working royals, and the security detail was seamless, state-funded and expected. But fast forward 7 years to 2026, and the contrast is just, it's massive. Instead of representing the crown, they're arriving as private citizens to promote a commercial wellness retreat. There's no government mansion this time. Instead, Meghan is headlining a girls' weekend at a hotel where the main selling point, the infinity pool, is reportedly still a construction site. It's such a visible step down in status. Going from official diplomatic guests to headline speakers at a paid event feels like a total demotion in terms of royal prestige. We're talking about a transition from the world of state banquets to a world of group photos for VIP ticket holders. It's a completely different energy, and you can see why the public is pushing back. If the status has changed from public duty to private brand, why should the taxpayer still be on the hook for the bill? It's a question that's defining the entire 2026 tour. So here is where the private business side of this trip gets really messy. Meghan is the headline act for this Her Best Life retreat, which the internet has already dubbed Meg-stock, starting April 17th. We're talking about a 3-day luxury getaway at the Intercontinental in Coogee Beach, and the tickets are anything but cheap. They started at $2,699, and if you wanted the VIP treatment, you're looking at over $3,100 just to get a seat in the front rows and a group photo. But the real drama isn't just the price tag, it's the venue. This hotel was supposed to be the height of beachfront elegance, but according to people who've seen it lately, it's basically a construction site. The headline attraction, that big ocean-facing infinity pool everyone was promised, it's not finished. The spa, the poolside bar, the leisure deck, they're all still under work. I mean, can you imagine paying $3,000 for a luxury wellness experience and spending your weekend dodging scaffolding and listening to power tools? The hotel is in a mad dash to finish everything by mid-April, but as of right now, it's being described as a total blot on the view. For a brand that's all about curated perfection, this Meg-stock weekend is shaping up to be a logistical nightmare before the first guest even checks in. Okay, so if the construction noise wasn't enough to kill the zen vibe at this $3,000 retreat, the actual beach situation is, well, it's a literal mess. We're talking about Meghan headlining a wellness weekend, right? Yoga, meditation, finding your inner peace, all while overlooking Coogee Beach. But here's the thing about Coogee in 2026. The locals have basically started calling it Poogee. Since late 2024, the shoreline has been plagued by these disgusting waxy black balls washing up with the tide. And I'm not talking about sea glass or driftwood. The EPA did the math on these things, and they're basically fatbergs. This gross cocktail of human waste, cooking oil, hair, and chemicals that's been leaking out of the old sewage system. Can you imagine the optics? You've got 300 women in VIP seating, sipping expensive green juice and talking about her best life, while right outside the window there are warning signs telling people not to touch the sand because of sewage debris. It's the ultimate irony. You're selling a high-end fantasy of health and luxury, but the environment around you is literally screaming that something is wrong. It feels so disconnected, almost like the organizers just looked at a pretty picture of the beach from 5 years ago and forgot to check what's actually washing up on the shore today. It's a total PR nightmare just waiting to happen. Now, let's get into the actual math of this Meg-stock weekend, because this is where the private citizen rebrand starts to look a lot like a high-end business model. We're talking about 300 women, and the pricing is, well, it's ambitious. The standard early bird tickets were around $2,700, but the ones everyone is talking about are the VIP packages for $3,199. And what does that extra cash actually get you? Aside from a front row seat at the gala dinner, the big selling point is a group table photo with Meghan. Not a one-on-one, not a personal conversation, a group shot. When you step back and look at the optics, it's fascinating. On one hand, you've got a petition with 32,000 people saying, "Don't spend a cent of our tax money on their security." On the other hand, you've got a sold-out room of people paying $3,000 a head for what is essentially a proximity fee. It's a total shift in the Sussex brand. We've gone from the era of public service to an era of access for a price. I've seen some people online comparing this to a fan convention, like a royal version of Comic-Con where you pay for the photo op. Is this the new era for them? A series of highly curated, high-priced private events where the Duchess title is the main product? It's a bold move, especially while the public mood in Australia is so tense about the cost of living. I'm dying to know what you think. Is this just smart business? Or does selling group photos feel a little beneath the royal brand? Drop a comment and let's get into it.